What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Accelerate Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Marks, and I am joined today by our special guest, Nicole Fleur. She is actually one of our EA clients. So, this is an exciting episode because this is our first EA client. So, I'm excited for you guys to get to hear from her, hear a little bit about her journey, both with us and then just overall her health and fitness journey from, the early days all the way to now and what's changed. But yeah, Nicole's been with us for almost 12 full months now, which is crazy. I was looking at it. You're coming up, what, like is January your anniversary?
Like the end of January,
In
yeah.
January. Okay, so coming up on a full year. And I'm gonna brag about you for a second. So here we go. During her time with working us, she's lost over 50 pounds in the past year, and we are still trucking along. And I'm sure we're gonna be talking a lot about those physical changes as this kind of come up in those episodes. But I know that from like the out as an outsider that's been looking in on your journey, there's been a lot more to it than just the physical side. And I'm really excited for you to kind of share all of that today with everybody. So yeah, thanks so much for being here, Nicole. Anything that you just want to add before we kind of get into it?
I'm just super excited just to kind of like shed light on not only, yes, like the health aspect, but how like truly like once you start this journey, how truly it can like transform your life.
I mean, literally you have now made this something that you want to do with your, life too, like help others, right? I know you've been looking into some different certifications and
Yeah.
have made your Instagram like a fitness Instagram, and it's just been so freaking cool to see the just complete 180. So yeah, we're gonna get into it, but before we do, I ask everybody one question, all of the guests, to kick off the episode. So I'm gonna ask you. What is something that you love about life right now?
Hmm. Honestly, for me, it would have to be learning how, because I love to cook. And so for me,
Mhm.
in life right now, I've just come to love making almost everything I eat from scratch.
I love that. What a great fun answer. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to that are like, "Oh my gosh, I want to love that, but I don't." Actually, that's a good way to even start this off. Like, have you always liked cooking to any degree? Have it always been something that's like interested you, or was there parts where you like absolutely hated cooking?
So I actually grew up in the kitchen, and before like growing up and like in high school, going off to college, I actually almost didn't go there. I actually almost went to culinary school
Okay.
to
Okay.
get open my own restaurant or bakery.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, so you have like it's not like that was a complete 180. You've always liked it.
No, I've
But
always loved cooking and being in the kitchen.
now so it's more like finding fun ways to make that kind of stuff more healthy now that you've learned a lot of that side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Heck yeah, I love that. I mean, that's such a big passion of mine too, is beyond just the coaching and teaching people like the education and science of nutrition. I love showing people like that healthy does not have to be boring. It does not.
Doesn't
Uh,
have to be
so
just
cool.
chicken, rice, and veggies.
No, absolutely not. So what's with all the like cooking and stuff you've done, do you have a number one like favorite meal you've kind of found lately?
Um, my go-to, and like I've this has been mine even before I've been on this journey. It's always been grilled cilantro lime chicken
Ooh, that's
with twice baked potatoes and air fryer asparagus.
that sounds air fryer asparagus. It's the only way I'll eat asparagus is air fried or like oven baked till it's burnt.
Crispy. Yeah.
Yes, that sounds
Yeah.
delicious. Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, I would love for you for I think everyone needs kind of the context of where you were prior to starting EA. And I don't even just mean like, a couple months or a couple years, but I think it is important to have it's our like the way we are, grow up, the way we learn from day one that like gets us to wherever anybody, is with their health, with their fitness down the road. So I'd love for you to even start all the way back. But yeah, paint a picture of what the first remind me how old you are again?
26.
26. Oh yeah, we're very similar. I knew we were.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, paint a picture of like the first how were the first 26 years of your life in regards to, health, food, fitness, all before EA.
Yeah. So pretty much like elementary school and like middle school, like my sister did sports and we went to school in a different town. So it's like I grew up waking up early and like always like being on the go. So like breakfast then would always be like cereal in a cup or like fried egg
Yeah.
sandwiches, just like something quick and easy and not really paying attention, just kind of get you out the door kind of deal. Um, and then high school wise, things slowed down a little bit, like try doing like smoothies and things like that, but still just like anything to really eat something before going to school on an empty stomach. Um, and so from there, that kind of led to not me craving it, but me being like for the first thing, like snack wise, like
Mhm.
something sweet, like cereal again, or cookies, crackers, things like that, instead of actually knowing what I'm putting in my body, just like getting the next closest thing to me to kind of eat whenever I'm hungry. Um, and then from there, going into college, I knew like I wanted to kind of do better. So I tried to like work out here and there, but being a freshman on campus, having like the meal card and all the dining halls made it like not hard to make healthy decisions, but it's just like the convenience of it was so much easier to just, oh, get that instead of walking to the grocery store to like get semi better options from there.
Totally. I know I can even relate to and I think probably so many can relate to the days of like the middle school, high school when your parents are just trying to feed you, get you out the door. And I say this all the time, like I do not fault my parents at all because
No,
also too, it's it came from their parents. It's what they're like, it's all they know. And we and just so many like we don't know what we don't know, right? And
right.
just aren't taught about nutrition and don't really realize like it's like once you know it, it's obvious that oh, probably having an Eggo waffle for breakfast is not very nutritious.
Nutritious.
But it's not like taught, and that's become what the food of the world is today, especially for a lot of modern Americans. And my breakfast every day, I also was a super picky eater, so in my mom's defense, I literally wouldn't eat anything else. But what was like an Eggo waffle out the door, or a toaster strudel, or whatever. And I think it's you mentioned that yeah, you start to crave that, and there is an actual like that is a physiological response that truly like you are craving that due to blood sugar regulation, but it also is just all after all of those years. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I'm curious, you mentioned like once you started going to college, you knew you wanted to at least try to be better, even if it didn't happen right away. College is a really difficult time to even begin. Like it's oftentimes where a lot of people go even backwards. But I'm curious, like was there a point when you were kind of getting older, with whether it be later high school, early college, where you knew what you had been doing prior wasn't the best and that made you want to make changes? Or how do you feel like you knew that something did need to change?
I think for me, it was just how I was feeling physically and like where I went to school, there's hills everywhere. And so like finally realizing like, oh, I'm struggling just like walking up these stairs or this hill to get to class every day, like something kind of has to change. And so I started like making switches for like cereal and then moving instead of that having like egg and not waffle an egg and potatoes from the dining hall instead of just going to like where I make it myself, have actually having what the chefs at the dining hall prepared and kind of like moving away from like the less processed foods there.
So it was purely like you noticed you didn't feel as good as you felt like you probably could.
Could be, yeah.
Totally. I had a similar I feel like wake up call as well. I think in not that I made again major changes at this point in time because it was hard with going right into college, but I think like late high school I began to question could I be feeling better? Because I remember feeling a lot of like fatigue and brain fog and even irritability. And again, it's hard. And I think where so many people can get stuck is because that's all they've known. So they don't know that that's not normal. But I remember feeling like, I shouldn't need to nap every day. I shouldn't need to, or I shouldn't be falling asleep in my classes after lunch. Like something's got to be off and like starting to have that awareness of, okay, like maybe there is, a part of what you eat that really does pertain to your energy and things like that. Now, you mentioned that you wanted to kind of start to make those changes in college, but it was kind of difficult. Like talk to us a little bit about that. Was that something that you struggled with for several years during and then after college, or did you start to kind of get on that trajectory?
Honestly, I kind of struggled with that all through college. It's like for me, it's like I knew the choices I should be making. Like, for example, like we had a Chick-fil-A on campus. It's like a meal card swipe was like a Chick-fil-A sandwich with a Cool Wrap. And it's like I know I should be getting the Cool Wrap, but it's like at the times that I would go, it's like I really wanted the sandwich. So it's I feel like that goes back to like restricting myself and ending up kind of just going back to what I know.
Okay. So would you go through phases where you were trying to restrict and then that would be the bounce back, or was it never really like getting out of making the poorer choices?
Never really getting out. It was like an internal tug of war with myself between knowing what I should do and knowing what feels good and what's like comfortable to me.
For sure. I mean, and I think at the end of the day, like where a lot of people can be very confused about nutrition and I think like what should be the basics, people don't understand because no one's unfortunately teaching it to us, or there's a lot of just myths and crap out there. There is a lot that I think people don't understand. However, I think most people understand what good and not so good. I don't like to use the word bad, but good and not so good choices are, but often people will still end up choosing the not so good choices. And so there is something far beyond just like if everyone knew what the right thing is, they would do it. Obviously, there's something that's a bigger layer to it. So curious for you, like what made you one day, like was there a line in the sand moment that was like, I'm done continuing to choose the not so good for me choice. I've known this whole time what the good choice is, and I haven't been doing it, but I'm going to change that starting now. Like, was there a moment where that kind of happened for you?
Like in college or
Just in general, and like at what point did that kind of happen for you?
um honestly like right before I started EA a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, and because I was kind of that leads me to wanting to get to how we got here, right, with EA.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if you applied or if we just started talking on social first, because I know I do that a lot. Do you remember?
Honestly, I think y'all's ad came up
Okay.
on my feed, and I think from there that's when like I may have reached out. I can't remember.
I literally like anybody who I like who follows me or would just kind of end up engaging with. I'm like always wanting to kind of get to know the people who are giving me support. So I end up messaging a lot of people and then they end up becoming clients, which is great. But yeah, either way, whichever way it happened, you obviously made the decision that you wanted to make a change. And so it sounds like it was right before, obviously that's why you decided to maybe get a coach and seek out. Was there a line in the sand moment for you that like made that flip switch?
Um, for me, I feel like because at the end of 2022, beginning of this year, I feel like I kind of started to realize, like just seeing how big I'd gotten, like I knew like something just had to change. Like I can't keep doing what I'm doing or I'm not gonna live a healthy or not a healthy life, but live one that's like a quality life for me. And so like I try to like do things here and there, but it's like there's just so much confusion between all the different programs there are, like, and for me, I just found myself going between like the more popular not brands, programs, Nooms, Weight Watchers, all those other programs out there that it's like, yes, they tell you what to eat, but for me, I kept going back to the old habits because there I found I was still labeling food as good and bad. And
Mm.
so for me, I was like, I need help and I need guidance on what exactly I'm supposed to be doing instead of just feeling completely lost.
How long did you try some of the other things or just try on I guess not on your own because there was like other things you were trying to use for support, but how long were you trying other things or on your own, I guess, before EA?
Probably about 6 or 7 months.
Okay, so a good bit of time. Did you see much change or was it pretty stagnant?
I mean, I saw a little bit of change, but I felt like it was like back up and down. Like I
Okay.
saw change and I went back, saw some change.
For sure, for sure. What I'm curious, like, what do you feel like? Because obviously, now that we're a year into this, you've stuck with this for a long time, 50 pounds. There's not really any negating that that's not up and down. That is, I mean, and obviously within the journey, if we went and looked, like, there's little fluctuations. That's so normal. I do want to make that
Right.
clear to anybody listening. Like, gaining a pound, losing a pound can be normal. It's more the trend over time. But
Mhm.
seeing that we lost 50 pounds over the last 12 months, what do you think was like the biggest, if you had to pick one thing, biggest difference between what you were doing prior and this that worked and led to that?
Um, Honestly, I feel like it was the knowledge that I've learned. The knowledge that kind of then led to like the mindfulness when it came to eating.
Can you talk more on that? Like any specifics when it comes to knowledge?
Um, I guess one just like because I had no clue like how to track macros or anything like that. So just kind of realizing um that like how the calories in food are made up of and realizing like I can eat things and not like feel tired afterwards. So it's just like thinking, oh, I can still eat like potatoes and I won't get like sleepy afterwards. Whereas in the past, if I had like cereal, I would like need to like crash and take a nap after that.
Got it. Okay, so seeing how like different foods affected your energy and being able to, draw the parallel, because I'm assuming like something that you've learned from us, from your coach, is how like in that example you just gave, right? Like potatoes are going to be a little bit more of a slower digesting. They're still actually like a faster digesting carb, but compared to something very processed because they're a whole food, they're going to be a little bit slower digestion. You're not going to crash. And like being able to draw those parallels between the food choices you make and how you feel, and then therefore being able to choose the ones that make you feel the best.
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. And I know too, like we've talked, you and I have talked at lengths about this, just how different your life is too, from like this time last year to now. Um, and a lot of that being due to like, but also, well, I guess I'll let you talk on that. Like, what is different, but at the same time, how have you been able to keep some of the things that you enjoy that many may feel like you need to cut out in order to reach your goals?
Mhm. For me, I definitely like in the past, I was like going out with friends a lot more often, like drinking honestly way more than I do now. Um, and kind of looking back, like, yes, I still go out with my friends and have a drink or two, but it's not like every single weekend like I was doing in the past. And also, like, I still go out with friends and have dinners. Like, I can't not eat out just because I'm on this journey. And the biggest thing is like not having to like explain, but like letting others know that it's like I can eat anything I want. There's nothing that like I can or can't eat because it's not a lot of people like to call it a diet, but I call it a lifestyle because it truly has become part of my life.
I love that. And there's so many directions I want to take this. But I want to first start on the alcohol side of things because I think a lot of people fear that they're gonna, that they have to cut out alcohol to see results, which is obviously not true. You are living proof of that. I am living proof of that. However, we have to understand that alcohol has caloric value and it can very, very quickly add up if you're drinking a lot and for several times throughout the week. And then beyond just even the caloric side of things, like alcohol does have other negative effects, like impairing your body's ability to build muscle. Obviously, we don't feel super great days after we drink a lot, which can cause you to either overeat, undereat, just typically don't lead to the best choices. But all of that to say, it doesn't have to be cut out. But I think when people do try to dial back on it, it can be very, very challenging, whether it be from fear of judgment. It's a very like socially accepted norm. It's just,
Mhm.
it's funny is maybe not the right word, but I guess ironic to me that, I feel like choosing the salad or getting a veggie instead of fries or the healthier option sometimes like when eating out can be more looked down upon and weird than like deciding you're not going to drink
Yeah.
at a meal. Like it's just so like wild how socially accepted alcohol is. Anyway, kind of going on my tangent with my question, but I think that's a big fear, right? Is that people are going to be judged or that they're not going to have fun. Like they just don't know how to like live life kind of without it. So I'd love for you to maybe talk to the aspect of like, was that a challenge for you at the beginning and how did you navigate that?
For me, honestly, it wasn't really a challenge because that really allowed me to do like a lot of internal work with myself
Mm.
and kind of realize like the people that I am around when I do drink, like, do I talk to them on an everyday basis, like when alcohol isn't involved? And if not, then like kind of help me like reevaluate where I put my energy and like who I spend my time with.
Did you change any of those relationships or make different choices after kind of thinking about that?
There's been some that I have, like, I feel like not that my circle's gotten smaller, but I've just been more intentional with the people I know I can be 100% myself with, and that like alcohol doesn't have to be present for us to like have a good time together.
Do you, and I'm gonna have a whole like tie thing after this question, but do you feel like, do you feel happier today with even with having less, and even if that means like social getting or the circle getting a little bit smaller, like do you feel more assured of like who you are and happy and also who you are and who you spend your time with today than maybe a year ago?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 100%.
I ask because like I have been through pretty much the same journey with specifically alcohol pretty much the last year as well, and I have found the exact same thing. And I've just realized like again, and I've had this conversation with a lot of clients who want to even like begin to limit their like their by their choice they want to begin to limit their alcohol intake, but they find themselves really struggling, and when we really dive into like why that is, it's often because in these scenarios they are just not like they don't want to be there if they're not if there isn't something to like lubricate that situation. And
Right.
my challenge for you and my challenge for myself that I really learned is like, well, then why are you there in the first place? Like if
Exactly.
you can't spend time with these people or in this place or in this setting without having to be, a little bit buzzed or drunk, then it's not somewhere you would want to be anyway. Like
Right.
if you wouldn't be there sober, then like we don't need to be adding alcohol to it. I think alcohol should be a, hey, this like I already like would love being here and it just makes it a little bit more fun. Not like I have to have it to have fun.
Yeah, it should only enhance where you're going, not be the
Exactly.
primary thing.
Exactly. And like once I looked at that too, I also realized like I just changed the people I wanted to be with, and I was like, wait, do I even connect with these people beyond anything besides like partying and drinking? And if the
Right.
answer was no, like, well, again, why am I spending my time with them? Like,
Mhm.
we have so much, we only have so much energy to give, and it's like really important to choose where we give it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm glad you were able to kind of share that, and I hope anybody listening can kind of take away like even that again, you don't need to completely delete alcohol from your life to see success, but it can help. And if you're somebody who is having a hard time, let's not even think about like the weight loss, the health, like why are we using it so much as a crutch? So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that that's just a great thing to think about for sure. I would love to know, kind of back to the note of like, so you mentioned that the education has made a big difference. What are maybe like your top two other things with coaching and with Accelerate Athletics that have really made the biggest differences for you?
Um, oh, that's a hard one. I would have to say number one is like just how amazing the community is. Like, no matter like where you're at in this journey, like even if you feel alone, there's someone else in EA that has either gone through what you've gone through that can give you advice or is literally going through it with you, and y'all can be like accountability and support for each other.
Totally. I agree. And I'm like so proud of the community we built. And you've been an amazing part of that too. Like Nicole is the best hype woman. She is in there. Like she if we one of the coaches can't get to a question in like 5 minutes, Nicole got your back. So I love that. And it's been great having you there. One other thing that maybe comes to mind.
Um, Honestly, like within coaching and like with the workout protocols that I'm given, honestly, just like how empowering it has made me.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like you, and again, it's so cool to just see how confident you've become too, like posting your workouts on social media and just sharing your journey with everybody. And I would love for you to even talk on that too. Like, because I know getting into strength training was pretty new for you when you joined DA, right?
Yes,
Okay.
100% new.
100% new. Okay.
Mhm.
So like, talk a little bit about that journey from like 12 months ago being brand new to strength training. I'm guessing pretty nervous to walk into a gym.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I first joined, I was actually going to my apartment gym here and
Right.
just using like the dumbbells that they had, like the leg press, lat pull down, like just like the very basics of strength training, which like I definitely still saw results from doing all of that. But then I feel like it was around July, it was whenever I got to the point where it's like the weights in my apartment gym were not challenging for me anymore. And so that's when I started going to the gym I go to now. And I was very anxious the first time walking in there because one, I just felt like being a plus size girl at the gym. I just felt like I was prone to like being judged more or like, I don't know, like the thoughts of like, oh, like you don't belong here, kind of things like that. But where I'm at now, I'm to the point where I've learned that like everyone's there for themselves. Like nobody's really worrying about whatever everyone else is doing. Like they're focusing on themselves just like you are to better themselves.
Totally. And I always say, like, I get why. And I used to be intimidated by the gym too. I get why people are. I get that
Mhm.
it can present as a very intimidating place, but I think it's one of the most accepting places that there are because, like you said, everybody is there to better themselves. And why would we not want to also see somebody else who's trying to better themselves? And it's just a group of people who are working towards self-development, personal development in whatever that, a lot of ways in a physical way, obviously, a lot of ways in beyond it goes much beyond that. And so it's a group of people who really are like very growth-minded people and want to see other people succeed. And so
Mhm.
it's some of the most accepting places. What kind of like you said you were terrified walking in there. What were you telling yourself or what kind of got you to still give it a shot from day one?
I feel like my first day there, I was like, at first, like worried about what others would think of me, but like the minute I started my workout, all those thoughts went away. And so since then, it's kind of been like just kind of in my zone when I get there, just kind of there to like do my workout, focus on me. But also realizing like actually how like supportive the fitness community is, like being in there and just like seeing like people like spotting each other or like um just like share like working in like different sets on different machines and things like that. And then personally like being encouraged by like some of the people that go there that have seen me, like that's another thing that's just like really inspired me to keep going.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Making gym friends is the best. Okay, well, one question before I get to my last question of the interview, but just do you have a piece of advice for anybody who is like a newbie to the gym and is hearing this and they're really nervous to get started?
Um, I would just say like remember why you're wanting to start and don't like continue to push it off until there's a right time because there's never going to be a right time. And then before you know it, there will be no time left.
That is true. Mic drop on that one. Yeah, there's never going to be a right time. You just have to rip off the Band-Aid. Okay, cool. Well, my last question for the podcast, I would love for you to just talk about what is like, and it might totally be the weight loss. Like, obviously, that you losing 50 pounds is a freaking phenomenal accomplishment. But what's been overall the number one biggest change for you in the last 12 months since joining EA?
Oh goodness, this is a loaded question.
We got all day.
Um, I would have to say that yes, the physical, but more than that, just how much I have truly come to love myself and where I'm at in life. And like, yes, I still have a ways to go, but really learning to embrace and enjoy the process and the journey that I'm on rather than being worried about kind of like the destination or like what my end goal is, but truly taking it day by day to really enjoy what I'm going through and just feeling so comfortable in who I am.
I love that so much, and that makes me so happy, and, like, seeing your personal growth has been, I think, like, just I can speak for all the EA staff and everyone in the community, like, one of our favorite things. And I have to piggyback one more question off of that answer, just because I think, like, one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people is that they have a hard time sitting back and enjoying the journey and accepting that it's going to be a lifelong journey. And that's oftentimes why a lot of people fail because you begin to see success when you accept success is going to take time. And that
Yeah.
it's like a catch 22 because everybody wants it really fast, but you can't be successful trying to do it quickly and wrong. You have to accept it's going to be slow. And that's when you actually begin to see progress. So do you have any advice whether it be the way that you were able to accept that. I don't know if that was a easy acceptance for you or you kind of fought that for a little bit. But do you have any advice for just how to like tell someone and get them to understand and see that like it's gonna take time and how to fall in love with the journey?
Honestly, going off that, my biggest, I guess, like example would be like learning how to ride a bike. Like you're not gonna learn how to ride a bike. Like it might take time for you and you might get frustrated, like I can't get this quick enough, like to be able to go where everyone else is going. But you just have to focus on you and kind of realize that like you're going this exact pace that you need to go. Like everyone else's pace of life is completely different than your own.
Totally. Love that. Everybody's book chapter is it's a different chapter in a heck freaking different book written in a different language. Like it's all so different.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Nicole. This was great. I'm excited you were the first client interview. The second I was like, I want to do a client interview, boom. Obviously it's gotta be Nicole.
I feel
Um
honored. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see. And you're at least we got another how long with you for at least?
At least a year because I
At least a
resigned.
year. Let's go. I couldn't remember it was 9 or 12. Let's go. All right. We're gonna do another podcast in December of 2024 and we're gonna check in and I can't wait to see like
Oh, I'm
compare this one.
pumped.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
so
it's gonna be
pumped.
amazing. All right, you guys heard it here first. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys in 12 months with Nicole. All right, Nicole, thank you so much for joining. Thanks guys for tuning in and we will talk to you next week. Woo. Okay, I'll edit there. Awesome. That was so great. Thank you so much. You were great and giving guest. I should have had them. Oh, I should have. I'll put I should have had you say it, but I will put your Instagram in like the description and stuff. Not that we have like a ton of listeners, but trying to like grow it and get it more consistent. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I hope that you have such a great Christmas. I know I'll talk to you in the messages and stuff, but
Yeah.
person.
Are
And I
you
guess
going to your parents' house for Christmas?
yeah, I'm going to Charlotte. Going to Charlotte. And I guess I will see you on Zoom on the 3rd, our ambassador meeting,
Yes.
January 3rd.
Yeah. My next week and New Year's week is going to be hectic. I
Got
have
a
a lot
lot.
of work deadlines.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm like very a lot. I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, but all right, well, I'll let you go.
Have a good
You
holidays
too.
and a
Bye,
happy New
Nicole.
Year.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Bye.